you
Yeah.
here in Italy.
Yes.
And 2022 has been a great year for
Good.
you.
Good.
And how is 2023 turning out for you?
It's been an interesting year so far. We've already covered lots of territory, and we're doing much more after this. After Italy, we do Poland, and then we're back in the UK for a bit of recording, and then we're off to South America. I'm off to South America to do some shows there.
In August, right?
That's right. And then there's America. So it's a busy year for both shows and recording. And I roll along from day to day. It's that thing about keeping going and the mentality of knowing that you're just part of life. You can't direct it. It just happens. You fall into situation after situation. Entrances and exits. Here's a tent. There's a van. There's a hotel. There's this. And in the middle of it, or what I try to do to try and stay sane and centered is to write things down. I always write down ideas.
Yeah. And
in
so,
books.
yeah, tell us about your new projects.
Well, I have a new album I'm working on with Roger, and some of it is done in the studio, some of it is done live. So it's a mixture of those things. We have a live album, a bona fide live album, which is basically this show. Maybe a little bit longer than this show, but so that's coming out in September. So a complete live version of Foxtrot, amongst other things. Mixed by an American producer called Chris Lordell, who's been a friend for a very long time, and now finally capitulated and gave him something to do, and he's done a very good job on it. So the new album I'm very excited about. For me, that's, apart from friends and family, it's the lifeblood for me. Creativity is to try and make an album that's universal. It's not quite so, I don't mean personal, but I mean that involves other people. Is kind of, again, part of life, something that's a representation of some historic thing about it. Looking back and looking forward at the same time. I'm very pleased with it so far, but I want so much for it. I just hope I have time to do, live out all the fantasies that are on it. So.
And James and I work a lot around people, and sometimes managing people is very, very tough. So we would like to know, because working in a post office is always a great job of using your mind all the time, and how do you maintain your balance? And it's not easy.
It's not easy. No, I think that's really right. I think there's a certain amount of madness that accompanies life, and sanity is a flexible thing. One moment you're very tranquil, everything's perfect. The next moment everything is going wrong, it's crazy.
Life for you must be very hectic, since you go, you're a globetrotter and you go everywhere.
That's right. Yes. And it's easy to get angry and annoyed, very easy. But it doesn't really help you, because you need the goodwill of everybody around you, and you need your strength and everything. You need not to squander yourself too much on little things that because the cup of coffee is cold in the morning.
For an Italian,
Perfect
coffee
life.
is like holy start of the morning of the day.
So the sacrilege of a cold cup of coffee, or one of the annoying things is I'm always coffee or cafe, petit déjeuner, whatever you call it. Breakfast is always a buffet. So by the time you get one thing together, then the next thing is cold, because you've got to find everything.
This is why buffet in Italy don't work very much.
Right. It doesn't work.
Not very much, no.
Well, it's the story of my life. It's like, today's buffet, and it's like, hunt the milk, hunt the water. No, they don't have any water. There's all these people around the cappuccino machine, and you have to be polite and hang on. And there's a certain amount of time, so we have to give up sleep on a regular basis. I think it's much harder for Joe than it is for me. I'm more military. I can wake up in the morning and go, right, I've got to get up. That's it. It's slower for her, where she feels, she says, oh, I've only had 6 hours, I really need 7, and I go, well, that's the reality, but...
I know how you feel like, because, we do the same job, basically, so,
yes.
Working 6 days a week,
Yes.
only having
Yes.
Sunday to rest.
Yes.
I don't even feel Sunday because
That's
it
too many
goes
days,
so
yes.
fast.
6 days a week?
Yes.
Wow. You
From Monday to Saturday.
I think you really need 5, and
It's not easy.
that's a lot.
Especially when you work with people and you work with money all the time.
Right.
And last year has also been a year of great losses. Which one? Yeah, also musically talking, and which one has had the deepest impact on your life?
Well, I was thinking that losing 3 friends, but there are more. I remembered. For instance, there was John Wetton, Chris Squire, Ian MacDonald, and I loved them all. And I got to work with them all, and they represent some extraordinary music and achievements between all of them. And so they were, I think they were an inspiration to me, and I think in turn, whatever I did was an inspiration to them. So, whatever, if we did anything good, each of us would pick up on it and be emotionally moved by it, and try and tell the others, try and point the way, whatever that was. But there was another friend who I was making a record with, a guy called Jim Diamond, Scottish singer, and there's a band called PhD that he had a number of hits with, and he passed on as well. And so there is that, oh my God, there are so many things that I can't quantify it, because it breaks my heart that they've all gone, and there are more, and I'm remembering them on a daily basis. So I'm trying to get in touch with old friends, people that I haven't seen for years and years, decades, to try and see if they're still alive and how they are.
Well, one day a very wise woman I know told me that no one really dies until you forget them. So because they keep on living in your heart, in your mind. So.
Yes, for you, but there may be something that I subscribe to is the notion that people actually don't die. They go through some kind of transformation, and that the spirit lives on in some way. And I've believed this for many years, and I've had strong evidence to support the notion that those people are still there. And I can't wait to see some of them again. It's an extraordinary thought. I think it's the stuff of classical music and symphony is the idea that there might be some extraordinary payoff at the end of life, just when we thought we'd lost everything and everybody. Perhaps the loss is only temporary. You can call that romantic. But everyone has to go through their own version of science to prove or have it disproved to them. And there are many people who are very sceptical, but at the same time there are contradictions. Science may contradict much of what...
Do you believe in science?
Yes, I believe science is the relentless pursuit of truth. But I also subscribe to the notion that C.S. Lewis had, where he said that science will tell you what something is made up of, but it won't tell you why it's there. And so, there we are. So we stray into philosophy and psychology and religion and art and all sorts of other things that are universes of thought within themselves.
Yeah. And, when life is so hectic, for an artist like you, I mean, do you cherish the moments of break you have?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Yes, I cherish being with loved ones. Sometimes I can cherish a view or a sunset or anything. It's an earthly pleasure, of course. And I'm much more aware of it now. I stop to look again twice at things. It's important. I mean, just the other day we were walking in Brescia and there was a doorway. And I said to Joe, doesn't that look wonderful, this doorway? And it was just a couple of chairs and it was just a perfect view, as if it was a painted scene. And so it's in my memory. I feel it, so I get these impressions of things, as I think we all do. I think it's a natural state of being that you slow down, you do learn to sniff the flowers. It's a symbol, I think, to stop and take stock of things. At one time I used to say, in the early days of Genesis, this is a terrible thing I used to say, which was, I used to consider nature to be an inconvenience and that it was just in the way of what I wanted to be able to achieve, but I don't think that anymore. I'm different now.
Yeah, for example, we were having a very nice aperitivo in Piazza della Loggia, as I said before, and cherish those little moments together, because we only live once, so we better enjoy everything every day.
We should live life as if we only live once, and if we get to live again, then...
Sorry to interrupt you guys.
And so, how would you, we all hope the latest possible, but how would you like, for example, to end your musical career? We all hope
to end it,
yeah,
you say?
how would you like?
Well...
We all hope the latest possible, of course.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know. I had an uncle who lived until he was 108, and I have an aunt, a great aunt, who was 105. She's still alive. So, on my mother's side of the family, they were Jewish people who came from Eastern Europe and Portugal, and came to London, the East End, the poor part of London, and they worked very, very hard. And one becomes very proud of one's family, in my case, and not just my mother's side of the family, who had to work very hard, but also my father's side of the family, who didn't come from lots of money. They came from different places, but my grandfather, my father's father, was very brave in the war, and also he was very brave. He was in Bari in the war, but he was also in the Home Guard, and he was digging people out of buildings in the Blitz, and saying the war was nothing compared to the Blitz. It was much worse. And I think what tough lives they had. My life is one of privilege. I get to go on taxis, planes, get feted and adored, get given the keys to the city and all this stuff. Wouldn't it have been wonderful for all these people to have had the privileges I've had? So when I work myself to death like I do, I content myself with the thought that just think of the alternative. So I'm very aware that, you know, it's a very lucky life I've had. Very, very lucky, you know, for all sorts of reasons. Listen to this acoustic music. This is very emotional stuff. Casa del Fano.
We'll always wish you all the best.
Thank you,
And
thank you.
anytime. And
That's
thank you always for your time.
And you too. You look very well. The two
Thank
of you
you.
look very well.
Thank you.
It's very good to see you.
Thanks. It's always
Stay
a pleasure.
well. Yes. Yes. And to enjoy life.
Absolutely.
Drink it in.
Yeah.
Don't work so hard.